Welcome back, Rare Coin Insider. Imagine holding a small, ordinary-looking coin between your fingers, something so common that most people would barely give it a second glance. Yet hidden within that tiny piece of copper-toned metal is a story that stretches across decades of American history, economic change, and collector fascination. And today we are diving deep into the mysterious and often misunderstood world of the 1981 United States 1-cent coin. A coin that many people assume is worthless, but in reality can carry surprising value depending on its specific characteristics, condition, and rarity. And as we explore every detail, you will begin to see how even the smallest coin can hold a massive narrative, one that connects craftsmanship, national identity, and even rumors of extreme values reaching as high as $212 million. A claim that sounds unbelievable, but still circulates widely among collectors and online communities. To truly understand the 1981 1-cent coin, you first need to go back to the origins of the U.S. penny itself, a denomination that has existed since the very early days of the United States, representing simplicity, accessibility, and everyday commerce. And by the time 1981 arrived, the penny had already undergone numerous transformations in composition, design, and symbolism. But what makes 1981 especially important is that it sits right at the edge of a major transition in American coinage. A transition that would change the metal composition of the penny forever, making coins from around this year particularly interesting to collectors, who are always searching for subtle variations that others might overlook. The 1981 penny features one of the most iconic designs in American coin history, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and this made the penny the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic representation like Lady Liberty. And the portrait itself was created by Victor David Brenner, whose initials, VDB, can be found on some versions of the coin though. In 1981, they appear subtly on the shoulder truncation of Lincoln's bust, and this detail alone has fascinated collectors for decades, as earlier controversies around the placement of these initials led to design changes that make certain coins more valuable than others. On the obverse side, or the front of the coin, you will notice the word Liberty placed to the left of Lincoln's portrait, while the year 1981 appears to the right, and above his head is the phrase, "In God We Trust," a motto that has become standard on U.S. currency, and each of these elements is not just decorative but carries deep cultural and historical meaning, reflecting the values and identity of the nation at the time the coin was minted, and even the spacing, font, and alignment of these inscriptions can vary slightly depending on the mint and production batch, which is why collectors often inspect coins under magnification to detect even the smallest differences. Now, if you flip the coin over to the reverse side, you will see the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, replacing the earlier wheat ears design that had been used for decades. And this depiction of the Lincoln Memorial is incredibly detailed for such a small coin, even showing the statue of Lincoln seated inside the structure if you look closely enough. And above the memorial is the phrase, "United States of America," while below it is the denomination, 1 cent, and arching across the top is the motto, "E pluribus unum," which translates to, "Out of many, one," symbolizing the unity of the states. But beyond its design, one of the most critical aspects of the 1981 penny is its composition and weight, because this is where things start to get particularly interesting, especially for collectors who are trying to determine whether they might have a rare or valuable piece. And in 1981, pennies were primarily made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving them a weight of approximately 3.11 grams, which had been the standard composition for decades. But just 1 year later, in 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned to a copper-plated zinc composition, reducing the weight to about 2.5 grams, and this means that 1981 pennies are among the last of the full copper coins, making them more desirable to certain collectors and even to people who are interested in the intrinsic metal value. However, not all 1981 pennies are exactly the same because they were minted at different facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and each mint produced coins with its own identifying mark, or in some cases, no mark at all, which can significantly affect the coin's rarity and value. And understanding these differences is key to determining whether a particular coin might be worth more than its face value. And as we continue, we will uncover how these small variations can turn an ordinary penny into something much more extraordinary. The concept of rarity plays a massive role in coin collecting, and while millions of 1981 pennies were produced, only a fraction of them exist today in pristine, uncirculated condition, and even fewer may have unique errors or anomalies that make them stand out. And it is these rare examples that can command high prices in the collector market, sometimes reaching hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their grade and uniqueness. And this is where grading systems come into play, with coins being evaluated on a scale that ranges from heavily worn to perfect mint condition, and even a slight difference in grade can dramatically impact the value. Now, when people hear claims about a 1981 penny being worth $212 million, it naturally raises skepticism, and rightly so, because such extreme valuations are usually tied to myths, misunderstandings, or exaggerated online stories, rather than verified sales. But what keeps these rumors alive is the fact that some coins in history have indeed sold for extraordinary amounts due to extreme rarity or historical significance, and this creates a sense of possibility that even a common coin could turn out to be a hidden treasure. And while the vast majority of 1981 pennies will never reach such astronomical values, the idea itself fuels the excitement of collectors and treasure hunters around the world. As we go deeper into this topic, we will explore the specific mint marks, the rare variations, the grading process, and the real market values that collectors are actually paying today, separating fact from fiction while still appreciating the mystery and allure that surrounds this small but fascinating coin, because sometimes the true value of a coin is not just in its price, but in the story it carries and the curiosity it inspires. As you continue to examine the 1981 1-cent coin more closely, one of the most important details to focus on is the mint mark, because this tiny letter can completely change how collectors view the coin and how much they are willing to pay for it. And in 1981, there were 3 primary mint locations responsible for producing pennies, each with its own identity and production scale. And understanding these differences is essential if you want to truly grasp the value and rarity of this coin. The first and most common version is the 1981 penny struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally does not carry a mint mark, meaning that if you look at the coin and do not see any letter beneath the year, it was most likely produced in Philadelphia, and millions upon millions of these coins were made, flooding circulation across the United States, making them the easiest to find even today. But despite their abundance, collectors still search for high-grade examples of these coins, especially those that have never been circulated and still retain their original mint luster, because condition can dramatically increase value even for a common coin. Next comes the 1981 D penny, minted in Denver, identified by a small D mint mark located just below the date on the obverse side, and like the Philadelphia coins, Denver also produced a massive quantity, but subtle differences in strike quality, surface texture, and even color tone can make certain coins more desirable than others. And experienced collectors often compare coins from different mints side by side, looking for sharper details in Lincoln's hair, clearer inscriptions, and overall visual appeal, because these characteristics can elevate a coin from ordinary to collectible. Then, there is the 1981 S penny, minted in San Francisco. And this is where things start to become more intriguing, because San Francisco is known for producing proof coins, which are specially made for collectors rather than for general circulation, and these proof coins are struck using polished dies and specially prepared planchets, resulting in a mirror-like finish with frosted details that create a striking contrast. And if you have ever seen a proof coin in person, you immediately notice how different it looks compared to a regular coin, almost like a miniature piece of art rather than everyday currency. Proof versions of the 1981's penny are particularly sought after, especially those with a deep cameo effect, where the raised design elements appear almost white against a dark, reflective background, and these coins are usually kept in protective cases from the moment they are minted, which helps preserve their condition, and because of this, high-grade proof coins can command significantly higher prices than their circulated counterparts, sometimes reaching impressive values depending on their grading and certification by professional services. Now, beyond mint marks and proof finishes, one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting is the hunt for errors, and the 1981 penny is no exception, because during the minting process, mistakes can occur that result in unique and highly collectible coins, and these errors can range from minor imperfections to dramatic misstrikes that make the coin completely different from what it was supposed to be. And it is these unusual pieces that often capture the attention of serious collectors. Some of the known errors associated with 1981 pennies include off-center strikes, where the design is not properly aligned with the coin's edge, creating a visibly shifted image, as well as double die errors, where the design appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment during the die creation process, and there are also cases of die cracks, clipped planchets, and even coins struck on the wrong metal. Though these are extremely rare, and each type of error tells its own story about what went wrong during production, making the coin not just valuable but also historically interesting. Another factor that significantly influences the value of a 1981 penny is its grade, which is determined by professional grading companies that evaluate the coin's condition using a standardized scale, typically ranging from poor to mint state 70, and achieving a high grade, especially in the mint state range, requires the coin to have minimal or no wear, strong details, and an attractive overall appearance. And coins that achieve grades like MS65 or higher are considered premium examples, often commanding much higher prices in the market. Collectors often use magnification tools, proper lighting, and even digital microscopes to inspect coins in detail, looking for signs of wear on high like Lincoln's cheek, jawline, and hair, as well as checking the clarity of the inscriptions and the presence of any marks or scratches, because even the smallest imperfection can lower a coin's grade, and therefore its value. And this meticulous attention to detail is what makes coin collecting both challenging and rewarding. Now, when we talk about market value, it is important to separate realistic prices from exaggerated claims, because while you may see headlines or videos suggesting that a 1981 penny is worth $212 million, the truth is that such figures are not supported by verified auction records. And most 1981 pennies in circulated condition are worth only a few cents to a few dollars at most, but high-grade uncirculated coins, especially those with exceptional quality or rare errors, can sell for significantly more, sometimes reaching hundreds or even thousands of dollars in the right market conditions. The idea of a coin being worth millions often comes from confusion with other rare coins, such as unique prototypes or historically significant pieces that exist in extremely limited numbers. And while it is always exciting to imagine finding a life-changing treasure in your pocket, it is equally important to approach such claims with a critical mindset and rely on trusted sources and verified sales data when evaluating a coin's true worth. That being said, the 1981 penny still holds a special place in the world of coin collecting, not because it is universally rare, but because it represents a transitional period, a time just before a major change in composition. And this gives it a certain historical significance that continues to attract interest from collectors who appreciate the story behind the coin as much as its physical characteristics. And as we move forward, we will dive even deeper into the hidden factors that can make certain 1981 pennies stand out from the rest, including subtle design variations, collector demand trends, and the psychology behind why people are willing to pay so much for what appears to be such a simple object, revealing that the true value of a coin is often a combination of rarity, condition, history, and human fascination. As the journey into the 1981 1-cent coin continues, it becomes clear that what truly separates an ordinary coin from a potentially valuable one is not just where it was minted or how many were produced, but the tiny, almost invisible details that most people would never notice. And this is where the world of advanced coin collecting begins to unfold, a world where magnification, lighting, and experience reveal secrets hidden in plain sight, turning a simple penny into a subject of intense study and sometimes surprising worth. One of the most fascinating aspects collectors focus on is the strike quality of the coin, which refers to how well the design elements were transferred from the die onto the metal surface. And in 1981, due to high production volumes, not every coin was struck with perfect precision, meaning that some pennies show weak details, especially in areas like Lincoln's hair or the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, while others exhibit exceptionally sharp features that make them stand out immediately. And these sharply struck coins are far more desirable, particularly when combined with a clean, unblemished surface. Closely related to strike quality is the concept of luster, which is the way light reflects off the surface of a freshly minted coin. An original mint luster has a distinctive, almost cartwheel-like shine when the coin is tilted under light, and this effect is highly valued among collectors because it indicates that the coin has not been significantly handled or worn. And preserving this luster over decades is extremely difficult, which is why coins that still display strong luster from 1981 are considered premium pieces. Color is another surprisingly important factor, especially for copper coins like the 1981 penny, because over time, copper reacts with the environment and changes color, transitioning from a bright red tone to a deeper brown shade, and collectors categorize these coins as red, red-brown, or brown depending on their appearance, and coins that retain their original red color are the most valuable, particularly in higher grades, because they are much rarer due to the natural aging process that most coins undergo. Beyond these visible characteristics, there are also microscopic details that can significantly impact a coin's desirability, such as die varieties, which occur when there are slight differences in the dies used to strike the coins, and these variations can result in subtle changes in lettering, spacing, or design elements, and while these differences might be nearly impossible to detect without specialized tools, they are highly sought after by collectors who specialize in variety hunting, a niche area of coin collecting that focuses on identifying and cataloging these unique features. Another layer of intrigue comes from the possibility of transitional errors, especially given that 1981 sits right before the major composition change in 1982, and while officially all 1981 pennies were made from the traditional copper composition, collectors sometimes speculate about the existence of experimental or off-metal strikes that could have occurred during testing phases. And while confirmed examples are extremely rare or non-existent, the mere possibility adds an element of mystery that keeps collectors searching and examining coins with great curiosity. Now, when it comes to the idea of a 1981 penny being worth $212 million, it is important to approach this claim with both curiosity and realism, because while such a figure is not supported by any verified auction or sale, it reflects a broader phenomenon in the world of collectibles, where stories, myths, and viral claims can dramatically influence public perception. And sometimes these exaggerated values are based on misunderstandings, such as confusing a common coin with an extremely rare one, or misinterpreting listing prices that are not actually reflective of real transactions. However, this does not mean that the 1981 penny cannot be valuable, because under the right circumstances, certain examples can indeed command impressive prices, particularly those that achieve top grades from professional grading services like MS-67 or higher, or those that feature unique and well-documented errors, and in rare cases, such coins have been known to sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially when demand among collectors is strong and the coin's quality is exceptional. The psychology behind coin collecting also plays a significant role in determining value, because collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying history, rarity, and the thrill of ownership, and this emotional connection can sometimes drive prices higher than what might seem based purely on material value, and this is why certain coins become highly coveted, not because they are made of precious metals, but because they represent something unique and irreplaceable. In addition to individual collectors, the broader market also influences coin values, with trends shifting over time based on factors such as economic conditions, collector interest, and the availability of high-quality specimens, and coins that might have been overlooked in the past can suddenly gain attention as new generations of collectors enter the hobby, bringing fresh perspectives and renewed enthusiasm. And this dynamic nature of the market means that the value of a 1981 penny is not fixed, but can change depending on timing and demand. Another important aspect to consider is authentication and certification, because in a market where even small differences can mean significant value, it is crucial for collectors to verify that their coins are genuine and accurately graded, and this is where professional grading services come in, encapsulating coins in protective holders with detailed labels that confirm their authenticity and condition. And having a coin certified by a reputable service can greatly increase its marketability and buyer confidence. As you continue to explore the world of the 1981 1-cent coin, you begin to realize that its true significance lies not in exaggerated claims of unimaginable wealth, but in the intricate details, historical context, and collector passion that surround it, and this transforms the coin from a simple object into a gateway to a much larger and more fascinating world, one where patience, knowledge, and a keen eye can uncover hidden gems that others might overlook. And as the story unfolds further, we will dive into real collector experiences, notable sales examples, and practical tips on how you can evaluate your own coins, helping you understand not just what makes a 1981 penny valuable, but how you might identify one that stands out from the millions that were produced, revealing that sometimes the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just a matter of perspective and attention to detail. As everything comes together in the story of the 1981 1-cent coin, what becomes truly fascinating is not just the technical details or the collector terminology, but the real-world experiences of people who have spent years searching through jars of old coins, inherited collections, and forgotten drawers, hoping to find something extraordinary hidden among the ordinary. And while most discoveries turn out to be common pieces, every now and then a coin appears that captures attention either because of its stunning condition, an unusual error, or a rare combination of features that sets it apart from millions of others. And it is these moments that keep the passion alive in the world of coin collecting. There have been cases where high-grade 1981 pennies, especially those graded at the very top levels like MS-66 or MS-67 with full red color, have sold for hundreds and sometimes even crossing into the low thousands of dollars, particularly when certified and auctioned through reputable platforms. And proof coins from San Francisco with deep cameo contrast have also achieved impressive results, especially when preserved perfectly in their original packaging. And while these figures are far from the mythical $212 million, they still represent a remarkable increase from a coin that originally held a value of just 1 cent, showing how condition and rarity can completely transform perception and price. What makes this coin even more interesting is the idea that it exists in such large numbers, yet only a tiny fraction of them are truly collectible at a high level, and this creates a natural filter where time, handling, and environmental exposure gradually reduce the number of premium examples, making those that survive in exceptional condition increasingly valuable over time. And this is why collectors often emphasize the importance of preservation, using protective holders, avoiding direct contact, and storing coins in controlled environments to maintain their quality for future generations. At the same time, the legend of the $212 million penny continues to circulate, fueled by viral videos, exaggerated listings, and the natural human desire to believe in hidden treasures. And while this specific figure does not reflect any confirmed sale or realistic market value, it serves a different purpose. It inspires curiosity. It encourages people to look more closely at the coins they might otherwise ignore. And it brings new individuals into the world of collecting, where they begin to learn, explore, and appreciate the deeper stories behind everyday objects. In many ways, the true value of the 1981 penny is not measured in millions, but in the knowledge it offers, the history it represents, and the excitement it creates, because within that small piece of metal lies a connection to a specific moment in time, a snapshot of American minting just before a major change in composition, a continuation of a design that has honored Abraham Lincoln for over a century, and a reminder that even the most common items can hold layers of meaning waiting to be discovered. For anyone watching this, the real takeaway is not just about finding a rare coin, but about developing the eye to notice details, the patience to learn, and the curiosity to question what something might be worth beyond its face value. Because whether you are a beginner or an experienced collector, every coin you examine adds to your understanding, and every discovery, no matter how small, becomes part of your personal journey in this fascinating hobby. So the next time you come across a 1981 penny, instead of dismissing it as loose change, take a moment to look at it carefully, check for the mint mark, observe the color, feel the weight, examine the details of Lincoln's portrait and the Lincoln Memorial, and consider the possibility that this tiny object has traveled through countless hands, witnessed decades of change, and still carries its story intact, waiting for someone to notice it, appreciate it, and perhaps even preserve it for the future. Because in the end, the magic of coin collecting is not just about money, it is about discovery, history, and the idea that something small and overlooked can suddenly become meaningful when seen from a different perspective. And that is what makes the 1981 1-cent coin so captivating, not a guaranteed fortune of $212 million, but a symbol of how value is created through rarity, condition, knowledge, and above all, human fascination.